Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Before You Buy series, where we look at new games without the hype, without marketing phrases, and talk about what you can really expect from them. Today, it's a big deal. Resident Evil Requiem, a game that tries to combine two different directions of the series. On one side, there's the dark first-person atmosphere in the style of Resident Evil 7 and Village. On the other, the modern third-person remake era represented by Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. New characters, old legends, a new story, but at the same time, a strong connection to the past. And the question is simple, does it work together? The short answer, mostly yes. Resident Evil Requiem feels like a best of selection from the entire modern era of the series. It takes the elements that worked, combines them together, and tries to offer an experience for both new players and longtime fans. The story follows Grace Ashcroft, a new character, an FBI agent who finds herself caught up in events full of biological horror and chaos. In parallel with her, we also follow Leon S. Kennedy, whom fans have known since Resident Evil 2. The game switches between them during the campaign. It's a linear adventure where you alternate perspectives between both characters. You can choose either a first-person or third-person camera for both characters in the settings. However, the default setting recommends playing as Grace in first-person and Leon in third-person. And honestly, this makes the most sense. Grace's sections resemble survival horror in its purest form. Dark, claustrophobic spaces, limited resources, puzzles, locked doors, keys, strange items you have to combine. A slower pace, tension. You gradually learn each location, return to them, and unlock new areas. It's that classic feeling when you start to literally memorize the map by heart. The enemies have interesting variations. They're not just ordinary walking corpses. Some move around the environment, and in their twisted way of existence, they seem more alive. Stealth is present here, but more as a supplement. You can sneak, you can throw bottles as distractions, but resources are limited, so you'll often end up running, shooting, and improvising anyway. Grace isn't helpless. She can shoot, use a knife, and push enemies away. Gradually, you can expand your inventory and upgrade your stats using special items. The crafting system returns, but a new feature is collecting blood from enemies as an additional resource for crafting. It works well, it just means you're carrying one more thing in your inventory. And then there's Leon. As soon as you switch to him, the game changes pace. Suddenly, you feel like you're playing a sequel to Resident Evil 4 remake. More action, more dynamism, more confidence. This time, Leon has an axe instead of a knife. It works as a nice weapon. You can finish off stunned enemies with it. It can parry attacks, and it feels pretty powerful. It's a weapon you can use a lot. You just have to repair it from time to time, which is basically the equivalent of reloading the knife. The combat system is fun, with contextual kicks, better animations, and more options. Leon's sections are more action-packed, but they still include exploration, searching for keys, and solving puzzles. It has its own economy, its own currency, and its own weapon upgrade system. Each weapon has its own modifications, capacity, power, stability, and other bonuses. There's also room for replayability thanks to unlockable add-ons and bonuses. Some weapons are powerful, but honestly, none of them really blew me away except for one specific pistol designed against BO, which is extremely strong but has very limited ammo. But now, let's move on to the downsides. The game sometimes reuses motifs and elements from previous remake titles. If you've played Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 really thoroughly, you'll notice the similarities. One particular moment, especially a boss fight, feels a bit too familiar. It's not a disaster, but it is noticeable. I also wish the game made better use of Raccoon City's potential in terms of the story. As a longtime fan, I was hoping for a deeper exploration of certain themes. Some story moments are strong, but there was room for more. As for the length, my first playthrough took about 10.5 hours. That's standard for modern Resident Evil games. A second playthrough, completing challenges, and unlocking bonuses adds several more hours. It's not an extremely long game, but it does give you a reason to come back. Technically, the PlayStation 5 version runs very well. Visually, the game mostly looks great. Details, lighting, HDR effects. Some locations feel less distinctive in terms of art direction, but most of the game is visually strong. I only encountered minor graphical issues like slight texture flickering at certain angles. Nothing major. Overall, Resident Evil Requiem is a very good game. It's not a revolution, it's not the absolute pinnacle of the series for everyone, but it's a strong, entertaining ride that brings together the best of the modern era. It has suspense, it has action, it has fan service, and it has moments that feel almost like a victory lap for the entire series. Sometimes it teeters on the edge of nostalgia, but most of the time it feels well deserved. As someone who has been following the series since the 90s, I have to say it's nice to see Resident Evil in such good shape. So if you're a fan of the remake era, go for it. If you're a fan of 7 and 8, you might be a bit surprised by the return of older characters, but the game will gradually explain everything to you. And now I'm interested in your opinion. Do you think the combination of first person and third person works in a single title? Or would you prefer a pure approach? Write in the comments, but without spoilers, and I'll see you in the next episode.